Alright, welcome to day 19 of Force Fetch with Liesel. So today, while Liesel was crated in the truck, I went ahead and laid a forest drag. If you recall, yesterday we introduced her to forest drags for the first time, so it's really important today to hit that up again right away to really solidify the concept in her mind. Yesterday we did the forest drag with a thawed out pheasant. Today I'm doing it with a thawed out rabbit. I've also switched locations. We're in a little bit different piece of woods, and we've got the wind kind of coming from the west, northwest, so the wind's going to be mostly at her back as she works the track in here, which is what we want. And then I drug it about 75 meters. I can see quite a ways in these woods, so I felt comfortable extending the distance a little based on her performance yesterday and my visibility. Again, the distance for your individual dogs at home is going to depend on what they showed the first day with the forest drag. Alright, let's get started. Got my slip lead, so I'll put her on my wrist. Untangle it. Flip it through the O-ring. And then under her armpit, and then we'll blow her down to start. She just saw a squirrel. We'll see how this goes. Right, here. Right here. So I'm going to work, I might take a few extra steps since she just saw a squirrel run down there. I want to keep her focused on the task at hand. Good girl. She was coming back nicely and then stopped to smell something, so she got a good cum whistle there. Good girl. Like when they come into heel, I want them to come in facing me, so that's why I just took a couple steps there just to redirect her. Good girl. Drop. Good. Good girl. Stay. Okay, so a little bit of distraction there, and that's why it is so important to incorporate the woods component into your drag retrieves as well. You don't often see the dog stop to sniff something interesting in the middle of a field, but again, there are so many more distractive scents and sounds in the woods. So she actually did a really nice job taking off after having seen something right away, but that also means that our foundation's been really good, where she understands she's got to do what I command her to do. Of course, then we had to have the one whistle, but just be prepared. You know, always have your whistle handy after you send them so you can assist them along. All right, so I think that's the last time we will show this in the video series. And I'm just going to continue extending the distance in the woods. I'll put in harder turns. I'll swap out the game species and just try some new locations, none of which is going to be very fun for video work as the dog's just out of sight for longer and longer periods. So that's a good place to end on drag retrieves. So I'm going to stop the film here, and we're going to switch locations and go back over to our fox over the obstacle site. Alright, and we're back to finish up day 19 of Liesel's force fetch session. So where we last left off, she'd just come back from a drag. I feel like I should have reminded folks that the reason that I didn't do another drag, even though she didn't perform that one perfectly, is because drags are something that dogs often get very bored with. It's a highway of scent for them to follow. It's thawed game, they've seen a dozen times, you know, so it's just kind of boring for them. So we made sure that she finished that particular retrieve, and then we can move on. I didn't want to relay the drag, whereas some of the simpler retrieving drills that we do, I do want to make sure that we do them again until we have it correct. Liesel, come here. Sit. Alright, so now we're ready to move on to our fox over obstacle, or fox in the box as it's commonly called. I'm still using a juvenile raccoon. You know, there are some really expensive, nice dummies that you can purchase online to do this training with. I just prefer to use the real game right away in just various sizes, and it's free. So let's go ahead and see how she does today. If she can avoid all distraction, just go straight into the box and out. I'm gonna do test distance, so we'll start her back at the 5 meter mark. Liesel, here. Sit. Stay. Ready? Right here, sit up. Alright, we're going to redo it because I had to give a command. Stay. Back! Good. Good job. That's a good girl. Good. Ready? Drop. Good girl. All right, we're gonna call it there. Liesel. Stay. Okay, you can see what's happening here is, again, she's already kind of bored with this exercise. We've been training hard for 19 days now. This is a couple days in a row she's seen this particular animal. It's 3 days in a row she's seen this particular obstacle. So on the first retrieve, she just kind of wondered if she might be able to get away with doing something more fun. So I had to give the verbal command, and then when I resent her for the second raccoon retrieve, she did leap in immediately, but we definitely need to call it a day. So I think that brings us to the conclusion of this entire video series, actually, because you can see from her body language that she is ready to be done with daily enforced training. It's been really productive. You've seen a massive progression in her from day 1, where she didn't even know to grab a dummy out of my hand, to day 19, where we're doing 75-yard forest drags and 175-yard field drags and box over obstacle and, you know, free search and retrieve of planted game. She's doing all these VGP subjects at an entry level, and now we just need to work on extending them. But I don't want her to get bored. So it's important to remember that retrieving training never really ends. At this point, we've finished up her formal force fetch program. She's gone through all the steps. We've shown you 10 to 12 different retrieving drills that you can work on throughout the rest of the summer to prepare your dogs. But at this point, I don't want to train daily anymore. I don't want the dogs to get bored. So from here on out, we'll be training probably just every few days or once a week, and we'll just do 1 or 2 of those retrieving drills every time out. We'll thaw a different piece of game every time. Keep it interesting, keep her excited and engaged. So we're still in February, which means that we can't really get into water work yet. The temperatures are too cold, there's still ice on a lot of the water. So generally my plan at this point is to just continue prepping her for the VJP. We'll do a bunch of rabbit tracking stuff and pointing work. We'll run the VJP in April, and then after the VJP, when the water starts to warm up, then we'll get into extending a lot of the principles that we learned in the last 19 days into the water, so that we can get her going for blind sends across the water and extending the distance and the time that she puts into duck searches and so on. But I hope that you've enjoyed this video series, or at least that you found it very useful. You can see that Liesel is not perfect, and I'm not a professional trainer, but she's the 24th dog I've trained, and so I kind of have a system that I like to work through, and my philosophy is just to have high expectations for them right away, teach them all the skills, and then work on it throughout the summer so that we finally have perfection and the dog's peaking right at test time. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me. My email is longhars@gmail.com, LANGHAARS@gmail.com. And please be sure to reference the full syllabus of this course that I've typed up. The PDF link is available in the YouTube playlist description. In the syllabus, I've got it broken down into what our learning objectives were for every single day of this 19-day course. And then I also have, descriptions of what happened in the video that day. But most importantly, at the end of the syllabus, I have a review of all the different retrieving drills that we worked on, so that you have a quick reminder for what things you can continue working on with your dog. One last thing I should mention, today is a very special day for Liesel. Right, kid? Liesel turns 1 year old today. Come here. So it's kind of worked out nicely to have that symmetry of finishing up her formal force fetch program and turning 1 year of age. So again, thank you for tuning in. I hope this has been helpful. Shoot me ideas if you have ideas for how we can make future videos to help you train your dog for the HCP and the VGP.